Newcastle 5, Aston Villa 1. And what a resounding victory for the Magpies, who go top of the Premier League table early in this Premier League season. I mean, what a game. It started off like an absolute classic, like a firework display from both sides. I think Newcastle hit first through Tonali, and you could see they started that game with intensity, exactly what the fans would have wanted. And to be honest, right, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with Newcastle going into this season, because obviously last season they were fantastic. No one could take that away from them one bit. But the thing is, right, going into this season, I didn't really have a clue what I was going to expect. Was it going to be the same as last season? Or was it going to be some kind of drop-off, like a bit of a one-season wonder from last year? But no, I was dearly mistaken. They came into this season on flying fashion. Anthony Gordan as well got them started. Brilliant. Off the bat, intense. Running at the opposition. Exactly what Eddie Howe would have wanted. They got their first goal early. It was Anthony Gordan crossing in, inch perfect. And who's on the end of it? Sandro Tonali. Their summer signing for 70 million or so from AC Milan. On the end of it, sweeping it into the corner. That was a perfect start for Newcastle United, who were intense as well off the bat from the game. And then going down the other end, Moussa Diaby, who I'm a massive fan of, by the way. I know my club Arsenal was chasing Diaby. But that goal right there was really solid. And I saw from the first 5 minutes this player was going to be good, right? The little interchanges with Leon Bailey as well. But that goal, brilliant. Whipped in from Digne, flicked on from Ollie Watkins, and then Diaby sweeps in with his weak foot into the corner. Exactly the type of goal we want to see. And at that point, after 10 minutes, 1-1, I'm thinking, boy, we've got a classic on our hands. This could be a really, really good game. And then after that, I think Newcastle really started to take control of the game. And look, they've ended up winning it 5-1. And it's a resounding victory. But I do think that Aston Villa folded towards the end of the game. This was a really good game for Newcastle, genuinely, because it's not an easy game one bit playing Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa under Unai Emery had an amazing last season, especially given where they were under Steven Gerrard. They were struggling big time. But as soon as Unai Emery came in, they really jumped up. I think they averaged almost 2 points per game in the Premier League, which is really solid for a league that's filled with really good teams like Arsenal, Man City, United, etc. So to achieve that's really solid for Newcastle and for Aston Villa. And for Aston Villa to push on now and take that next step, I think many are hoping or their fans at least, are hoping they reach the Europa League and maybe make a push for the top four. I'm not sure if they're quite got quality to reach that yet, but at least make a push for it. So this was a really big game for Aston Villa to see if they could really compete with the likes of the Newcastle United, who would be their competition in and around that European positions. And today, I mean, they faltered big time. This was definitely a false start for them. Look, it's the first game of the season. Anything can happen, but it was definitely a false start. But on the flip side for Newcastle, went from strength to strength. A really solid opening game for them. Next week, they've got Man City, though. And Man City's a bit of an acid test because that club is quality. I can't wait for that game. I know last year when Newcastle played Man City, it was one of the games of the season early on. I think it was 3-3 at St. James's Park. Hopefully it's something similar. Hopefully it's a similar firecracker at the Etihad this year round. But next week, I can't wait for that game. Man City versus Newcastle. We'll be streaming after it on this channel. Let's get into some of your comments before I review the game further. Jeff saying this. Yes, they'll be top of the table for at least one day. That's good because they are Man City next and then host Liverpool. Yeah, you're 100% right, Jeff, man. Newcastle, top of the table because of their goal difference, of course. I know other teams got 3 points as well. But they've got a tough few games to start the season. Aston Villa at home is not an easy game, especially to a Steven Gerrard side. Especially to Unai Emery side. I almost said Steven Gerrard, man, from last season. Then they've got Man City and then Liverpool after. So tough 3 games. But if Newcastle can come out of those without losing, I know it's a tough tall order, but if they could do that, what a start to the season would be for Newcastle. And they built a really solid team, man. So I can't see why not. They'll give any team a fight. They're scrappers and they're hustlers in that team. Shannon, appreciate joining the stream. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I thought Villa would give a better fight. Myself included, I thought that after they scored through Diaby, I thought, okay, we're in for a good game now. It's going to be back and forth, tit for tat, landing blow for blow like a heavyweight boxing contest. But it never really materialized. I think Newcastle made it 2-1, right? And the goals were a bit dodgy, some of them, for offside. I didn't see the lines being drawn. Is that a new initiative this season where they're scrapping the lines and doing it just based off the eyes? I'm not too sure. I'm obviously going to take some time to get used to it, but I didn't see the lines coming. So I thought definitely their second goal and their fourth goal / fifth goal, I can't remember which one it was. Either one, they were marginal offsides for me. I think it was a Callum Wilson goal and the Isak first goal. But look, it's one of those things. It is what it is. The game started so intense, by the way. Both sides at it from early in the game. So good, man. Really up for it, Premier League contest. And that's why the Premier League is so good. Because I know yesterday the pick of the week is obviously meant to be Chelsea versus Liverpool. But I knew, real football fans know that this game today was going to be a real good firecracker as well. Because two, at least I thought, evenly matched sides that are both going to be pushing for Europe. And not amazing quality like Man City, Arsenal. But this isn't no mid-table quality. These are two really good quality teams that will be intense and at each other for the full 90 minutes. And it started like that at least, but once Newcastle made it 2-1 and definitely 3-1, after Cash missed a really good opportunity, after that, they went from strength to strength. Aston Villa started to go for the game a bit more. Then Newcastle just picked them on the counter-attack. And every time the ball went in behind, it looked like it was going to be a goal for Newcastle United. And it was 5-1. It could have been 6, to be honest with you guys. So really good stuff for Newcastle United. They'll be absolutely delighted, Eddie Howe included. But it's a tough start to the season. And they go to Man City next week, and that's a really tough game for them. So it's like that Mings was stretched off. Yeah, what happened there? Obviously, it was a coming together with him and Alexander Isak. It was nothing wrong on the behalf of Alexander Isak. He was completely going for the ball. But then Mings seemed to hold his hamstring. I think he got stretched off and definitely, I think, left the stadium to get treatment. Is it an ACL injury? I'm not too sure. Obviously, you can only wish the best for Tyrone Mings at that point, because it's really scary, one of those injuries. Because obviously, it was a contact injury with him and Alexander Isak, right? But it wasn't exactly like Isak went into him crunching challenge. It was just a body to body, and Tyrone Mings definitely came off worse. So let's see what comes of it from that one. Hopefully, it's not too bad for him. But they've got opportunities in there. I know, obviously, they've got Diego Carlos, Ezri Konsa, etc. So they've got options in that team, Aston Villa, in defence. And obviously, that new boy from Spain came through as well. So look, they should have definitely opportunities, Aston Villa, to mend up and have replacements. I hope they beat or at least draw with City. Yeah, look, it'll be a tough game. Obviously, last year they went to Etihad and they lost 2-0. City's always a tough game. It's the toughest game you got in the Premier League, in my opinion. But Newcastle, obviously, they got the high of the game today. They can go to that Newcastle, if they can go to that Man City game, defend well, and hit them on the counter-attack, who knows, man? Anything can happen. It's a good game to have early on in the season. Obviously, Man City still haven't really hit their groove yet. I still do believe that game against Burnley yesterday, there was some flaws in that Man City performance where they weren't at the heights of that we've seen from Man City in previous games. So they're definitely beatable, Man City. It's just about, obviously, Newcastle keeping their cool and taking a chance on the counter-attack. Because I remember that game last year at the Etihad, right? If Newcastle took their chances, they could have won that football game. And they ended up losing 2-0 because Man City were more clinical in the day. So, look, Newcastle got more enough quality in that game to get something from it. They're definitely a tough team. Trust me when I tell you this, right, guys? I know there's some amazing teams in this league. Arsenal, Man City, Man United, etc. If you see Newcastle as your next game, you're worried. You don't want to play Newcastle because you know that team will fight. They've got a group of fighters. And now they've mixed a bit of fighting, hustling tenacity with actual quality in the final third as well. And that's a dangerous combination. Because not only have they got the fighters in midfield and the brute strength and physicality in Sandro Tonali, Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes, but they've got the poise and the technical quality of Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordan and Miguel Almiron up front. They've got a really well-balanced team, Newcastle United. They remind me very much so of Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool team with Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho, that type of midfield there. Because I think Newcastle midfield is really solid. Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes on this shirt, by the way, this Brazil top, one of my favourite players in the Premier League is Bruno G. I think that's a really solid midfield there. Joe Linton as well. We know he has physicality and strength. That's one of his strong points. So trust me when I tell you this, guys, yeah? I know there's some top teams in this league, but no one wants to play Newcastle. You're worried going into that Newcastle game because they can turn you over. They're definitely a banana peel team. And if anyone thought it was going to be a one-season wonder last year, I mean, I was victim to it. Obviously, I'm waiting for them to play the Champions League games because that will be a completely different kettle of fish once they got Champions League on the week. And then, of course, they got the Premier League on the weekend. Let's see how they compete then. But for now, I can only say good things about Newcastle United. I genuinely think they've hit the ground running. They've continued on from last season, and they haven't shown any sign of second season syndrome that could have been apparent, obviously, going into the new year. By the way, congratulations on 4K subs. I really appreciate it, my man. Everyone that's subscribed on my journey to 4,000, really do appreciate it. Next on the list is 5K subscribers. That's what we're aiming for now. Steven Gerrard's side would be easy. Yeah, I mean, the result looked like a Steven Gerrard side, but yeah, Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa is night and day compared to what Unai Emery's done with that team. Been absolutely remarkable. This year, the second most anticipated game for me after Chelsea. This was the second most anticipated game for me after Chelsea-Liverpool. Same. Obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan, so I was looking forward to the Arsenal game. But when I looked at the games on the week, I looked at Chelsea-Liverpool, then I looked at Newcastle-Villa because I thought those two games going to be very good. And I'm so glad I watched it, man. Of course, I watch every televised game pretty much on TV. And this is another brilliant one to watch. Really delighted with the outcome of this game. I think it really opened my eyes to a lot. Aston Villa did disappoint me. I can't lie. When I saw their team, I thought, it could be a bit of a tricky one. They've obviously set up on the counter-attack really well. They've got John McGinn, Douglas Luiz. Obviously, they're trying to fight in midfield a lot. And then obviously up front, they've got the quality of Ollie Watkins, who I think is a fantastic striker and has done really well under Unai Emery. I can tell why he wanted him at Arsenal, by the way. He's done really well to have Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa because obviously coming from Brentford, good strike Ollie Watkins. He's turned him into a really top tier. Well, not top tier, but a decent Premier League striker for sure. And then you pair that up with Leon Bailey on the wings, linking up with Moussa Diaby as well, who I'm a really big fan of. So look, this Aston Villa team's got a long way to go, and this defeat shouldn't define them. Not one bit. I remember last season when Newcastle lost 3-0 at Villa Park, and I said in that game, I said, look, Newcastle, you lost 3-0, right? Your next game's Tottenham at home. It's all about how you respond, and we all know what happened there. They end up beating Tottenham 6-1. So defeats don't define you. That's the main thing. As long as you bounce back from them, losing games happen. No team's gonna go unbeaten in this league this year. I'm confident saying that. But it's how you bounce back, because you can't turn a defeat into 2, because then it becomes not 3 points dropped, but 5 points or 6 points dropped. So if you're Aston Villa, I don't know who your next game is. Hopefully for you lot, it's an easy game, because you don't want to be playing any tough game right now. I'll check right now who Aston Villa's next games against. Aston Villa play next in the season against Everton at home. Should be 3 points, let's be honest with it. So if you're Aston Villa, right, you go to that Everton game and you win that football match. Then you write off the wrongs from this, and you realize that we ain't going to go back to St. James's Park this season. That's the main thing. But for Newcastle, what a start. Fantastic start for you guys. And look, I'm looking forward to watching Newcastle this season. I'll be reviewing a lot of Newcastle games. That's for an absolute fact. And in the Champions League as well. So let's see how they do. Obviously, I said in my prediction for them, I accommodated the fact that they will be in the Champions League this season. I wonder what happens then, because Champions League is nothing like Europa League and Europa Conference League. And Newcastle's done amazing by the way, because they've jumped from no Europe straight up to Champions League, when normally teams go no Europe to Europa Conference / Europa League, and then they make the Champions League. So it's like a steady progression, right? But Newcastle jumped straight into the Champions League spots. So let's see how they compete, because I'm telling you, man, Champions League games, there's no rotation. And Newcastle haven't got the biggest squad, especially in midfield. I think obviously they've got Anderson and players like Longstaff, etc. that are good fights in midfield. Joe Willock's another one, etc. But I think the drop-off from Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton to Willock, Longstaff and Anderson, it is the steep drop-off. Let's not lie to you guys. So look, if you're Newcastle United, you got to keep up with it. Got to ensure that you avoid injuries at all costs. But while you're at it, man, just keep going. Keep your intensity, because the way you fight in games, you'll win a lot of matches with that heart alone. I would hazard a guess, right, that at the end of the season, Newcastle will cover the most yards out of any Premier League team, or definitely be up there, because that team runs, man. And I'm telling you this, and I said it before, you do not want to play Newcastle United. That is not a game that you're looking forward to on your fixture list. That's a tough match for any team. Even Man City next week, they'll identify Newcastle, watch this game today and go, it's going to be a tough game next week, and I can't wait for it. Going to Newcastle is tough, 100%. They're one of those clubs where home away does make a huge difference. Oh, Jeff, you're 100% right in that. 100% right. But the thing about Newcastle is, right, they're adaptable. They're anti-fragile in the sense that at home, they go for you. They go for your neck. And the home crowd plays a massive advantage. Newcastle's atmosphere is fantastic before games at St. James's Park. Fantastic. If you ride the first 25, 30 minutes at Newcastle, I think you'll be okay. But if you lose your heads in that first 25, 30 minutes, you could be in for a long day, because heads can be gone quickly and you can collapse like a house of cards there. So I genuinely think that Newcastle at home is a tough game when you go to their place, because they will be at you from minute one with intensity, with fight, with passion, take the game to the opponent. Newcastle, on the other hand, is a completely different game. They like to sit back and absorb pressure and play counter-attacking style. So Newcastle master both sides of their game. Most teams have a philosophy, whether it's attack first or defend first. Man City, Arsenal will attack first. Home or away, they're going to want to be the team to dictate possession, get on the football and make things happen. Conversely, teams like, for example, Everton, West Ham, etc., they defend first. Whether they're home or whether they're away, they want to sit back, they want to defend, absorb pressure and go from there. Newcastle can play both sides of their game. And that's a very, very good thing. Because when you've got options, when you're versatile, teams don't know how you're going to set up. And that can be a very good sign. Newcastle can play front-footed football, attack you from minute one and go for your throats and be the offensive initiators. But equally, they're just as adept at playing in defensive style, counter-attacking and feed off transition. They've mastered both arts. And that could be really good, because against Man City next week, I fully expect Newcastle to sit back, defend in a low block and play that game on the counter-attacking transitions and try and nick something from Man City. And they could do that just as good as they can play this game today, where they were at Aston Villa from minute one. Tank the player. I appreciate joining the stream, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Isak is on fire. Oh, what a striker Isak is, by the way. Alexander Isak, massive fan of him. I want to get an Isak shirt. But obviously, I don't really want to get a Newcastle shirt because I'm an Arsenal fan. But I think I want to get a Sweden Isak shirt. Isak shirt. What a player he is, by the way. Isak, obviously, I always knew he was a complete striker, if there's ever a word, because that man is brilliant. Holding up play, linking up play, technical ability, superb. I remember an assist he got last season away at Everton, where he dribbled through the whole team from left wing. It was superb goal, right? Superb assist, sorry. But what Isak's added to his game also throughout the season has been that end product. Today, he scored 2 fantastic goals. The first one, brilliant finish. Right place, right time, centre of the box, sweeps into the corner. But that second goal, dinking it over Emi Martinez, cultured finish. He should have got a third potentially. Minutes after, he could have got his hat trick when he was put through, shot it straight at the goalkeeper. But I think overall, Isak's really matured into a top-tier striker, man. I'd love to have him at Arsenal, for example. I think he's the perfect striker for Arsenal. But brilliant job. I know he was at Real Sociedad before going to Newcastle. I remember watching him there. I remember watching him in the Euros for Sweden and thinking, this is a top player if he can master his final product. And he's really been on the training ground to do that. So massive fan of the player. And he's going to go leaps and bounds for an absolute fact because I think he's a top player, Alexander Isak. And I can only wish him the best to be completely honest with you guys. I think he's going to be a top player in this league for an absolute fact. The Premier League's so stacked in general, though. There's so many top players here. Genuinely, like the amount of good quality in the Premier League, it just year after year, it excites me and it surprised me how we just keep getting better and better and better. Is it the quality of football in general or is it the quality of Premier League? I'm not too sure, but I'm not complaining because watching the Premier League year after year is a treat. I think last season the Premier League was the best I've ever seen in my lifetime. Definitely. In terms of quality, there were some superb games last year. Liverpool, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle City, as I mentioned already, some top tier games. And this season already, obviously this wasn't an entertaining game in the sense that Newcastle ran away with it, but you could see the quality from Newcastle here, really solid. So let's see what comes of it. Of course, tomorrow we've got a double header on this channel as well. Brentford versus Tottenham reaction. And then straight after as well, we've got the reaction for Chelsea versus Liverpool. So double header on this channel for Super Sunday. Make sure you stay tuned and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss it. Premier League live reactions after pretty much every single televised game. This is the place to view them. So make sure you subscribe and turn on bell notifications so you do not miss a single reaction on this channel. But yeah, going back to the game, other standout players for me. I thought Bruno Guimaraes had a really good game in there. Him and Tonali looking like a really good partnership for Newcastle United. I think they needed that. I think they were missing that final midfield piece because obviously Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton was starting for Newcastle. That was nailed on, stars in the team. But that third spot was up for grabs. It'd be Longstaff, it'd be Willock, it'd be Anderson maybe some games, etc. You didn't know who was going to play that third position. But now with Tonali in there, the midfield three is sorted for Newcastle United. You know their midfield's going to be Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joelinton. That is it. No rotation. That is their starting midfield three. And I think they need that because the midfield's the most important positions on the football pitch. Your midfield can win and lose your games. That's where transition is won or lost. And I think Newcastle midfield is super solid. Genuinely. It's got a very good balance of competitiveness in the sense they will hustle, there'll be strong physicality in that midfield, technical ability for Bruno Guimaraes and Joelinton and Sandro Tonali, who will possess that in abundance, but also as well some defensive grit. That winning that ball back, that like just hard challenging, getting involved, sticking a leg in, that type of effort. And look, they picked up a couple of yellow cards today. I think Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali both got booked. So let's see how they do that because 5 yellow cards and you miss a game, right? So go and make sure they keep their heads screwed on. But that's a really solid midfield in my opinion. I'm already a massive fan of Bruno Guimaraes. And if Sandro Tonali does the same thing and plays in a similar fashion, I know I'll be a massive fan of him as well. And I think Anthony Gordan had a really good game as well. I think he deserves his plaudits because that was a player that last season, coming from Everton, right, didn't really have a great season at Newcastle. I think he was a bit slow to get into things. He caught injuries, etc. I'm not a man that likes to see players make excuses, but if he was injured, fair play. But this game, to start, he had a really good game, man. Really good opening game, especially in the first 5-10 minutes. Intense. Running at opponents, not afraid to take people on. Confidence is a massive factor in football, especially the wingers. Wingers that have confidence play better. I don't know what it is, but wingers that have confidence will take on opponents. They'll run at you. They'll do tricks, etc. And they just look like tricky customers. And Anthony Gordan, I don't know what it was, but he had that in abundance this game. That was really solid from him to possess. Because I'm telling you right now, right, a fit Anthony Gordan that's confident and creating output is exactly what Newcastle need. Because the thing about Alan Saint-Maximin, right, is I was a massive fan of Alan Saint-Maximin. He's gone to Saudi Arabia now. But one thing about Saint-Maximin, right, was that he didn't have any end product. He had confidence in abundance. And he had trickery in abundance as well. But when it was creating goals and assists, he lacked it. He didn't quite have that end product in his arsenal. Now, if Anthony Gordan can have the tricks that Saint-Maximin has, but add that to output, then Newcastle on to a winner. That's for an absolute fact. So let's see what they do there. On the flip side, if you look at Aston Villa, you're looking at Moussa Diaby, who, for me, I'm a massive fan of. I know Arsenal were targeting him. I thought Aston Villa got him on a really good deal. He's looking like a solid player. Attacking player, fast, strong, looking like he can score from, well, at least shoot from both feet as well. He got his goal with his weak foot today. I think there's definitely more to come from him as well. If you're an FPL player, definitely put Moussa Diaby on your side. I'd say that for an absolute fact. I think he could be a really good baller going forward for Aston Villa. So let's see what comes of it. What's your predictions for both these teams? Who do you think is finishing higher? In my prediction, I predicted Aston Villa to finish higher, only because I think Newcastle playing Champions League rather than Europa League or Europa Conference League may be a detriment to them in terms of they won't have enough time to rotate their squads. And we know that Newcastle haven't got the biggest squad in the world. And say Bruno Guimaraes or Tonali gets injured, or who knows, man, like Miguel Almiron gets injured, you're looking at a team that hasn't got many in depth to really keep up. But based on the performance today, I know it's early in the season. Newcastle could be on for another really good season, right? What is a good season for Newcastle United? Let me know in the live chat, you guys. For me, I think if Newcastle finish top 5/6, if they get Europe again, Europa League at least, and they get to knockout rounds of the Champions League, that's a good season for Newcastle. Many will say they've taken a step back. They finished 4th last season. I know they finished 4th last season, right? But let's be honest with you guys, yeah? They finished 4th last season because Chelsea were crap, Liverpool were crap. Well, at least they weren't anywhere near the best. Tottenham were crap. I don't think Tottenham will bounce back, but you know what I mean. So this season, you're expecting Liverpool to bounce back, Chelsea to bounce back under Pochettino. United, Arsenal, and City will hopefully get better, and they're not going to finish up the top 4, you don't think. So Newcastle getting top 4 this season will be tough. It's doable, of course, and they're definitely in the race. And Newcastle that plays that today will definitely be in the reckoning for a top 4. I tell you that for an absolute fact. But I think if Newcastle finish 5th or higher, 5th, 6th or higher, and get to knockout rounds of the Champions League, that's a really good season for them. Head out with a run in the FA Cup or Carabao Cup, really solid season, I think, for Eddie Howe and Newcastle. If they can win a trophy like the Carabao Cup or FA Cup, I think they'll definitely take that to their fans. Because this has been a really good resurgent season for them with the new ownership, the Saudi Arabian ownership. They haven't splashed the cash in the summer as much as I fathomed. Obviously, they brought in Sandro Tonali, but I sat there and I said, you know what, right? You guys got Champions League football this summer. Go and spend the money. You've got Champions League. You're literally got money paired with the attraction of Champions League football, paired with the attraction of being in the Premier League, which is the most sought-after league in the world. Spend the money, Newcastle. Because who knows? Next season, you might be in the Europa Conference League or Europa League or out of Europe. Then your Champions League pool just diminishes. So if I was Newcastle, I would have spent the money big time this window. They're buying Tonali for 70 million. Make no mistake about it. That is a lot of money. But I would have thought Newcastle would drop at least 150 to 200 million this window. They haven't quite done that yet. Harvey Barnes, by the way, as well. Another really astute signing. Players that are signed from relegation sides always is smart business if you pick them up at the right time. And I think Harvey Barnes is exactly that. They didn't get him on the cheapest deal ever. I think it was around 30 million, 25, 30 million. But he's a really good player, Harvey Barnes, right? And he's direct. And you saw today off the bench, got himself a goal, got an assist, influential. He adds some squad depth that Newcastle side, which is dearly needed. And he's starting to build a real squad here, Eddie Howe. A real squad of good players, great players, in fact. I think Newcastle like world-class players. I think that's evident. But what there is, right, is there's a really solid group of 15 to 18 great players, where even if Anthony Gordan's injured and Harvey Barnes comes in, there's not really a drop-off. They're both great players. If Almiron gets injured and Harvey Barnes goes in right wing, great players. None of those 3 players are world-class, but they're all very good, decent players. And I think Eddie Howe's starting to build that. He's building a team of workhorses. He's building a team of workhorses, sorry. He's building a system-oriented style where it's plug and play. If one player's injured, another player comes in, and it's all the same. It's not an individual-oriented football team. And I think that's really working for Newcastle United. And look, their strikers are cooking as well. Obviously, Isak got on the score sheet, Callum Wilson as well. Trust me, that's very underrated in football, getting your strikers scoring early in the season. Strikers live off confidence. And if Callum Wilson's bagging early, if Alexander Isak's bagging early, that's a very good sign for Newcastle United to take going forward. Let's see what they do, man. I'm looking forward to seeing. Yes, Tonali got a yellow while leaving the field, being substituted. That was not the best part of his day. Yeah, just, you know what it is? I think it was just retaliation and just complaining from Guimaraes and Tonali that got them yellow cards. Just cut that out, man. You didn't need it. You didn't need to lose your heads like that. You're winning the game. It was all going fine. Just keep your cool. That's exactly what you got to do. I have Villa ahead of Newcastle in my picks. So did I. I'm not going to revise it just yet because I don't think there's a point right now. But you definitely got to sit there and go, this game has opened my eyes to Newcastle's ability to really up the tempo and look just as good as last season. Because I thought they'd drop off a little bit. I did. Not on detriment to Newcastle one bit. I just think that they hit the heights of last season where it was so good that could they match it? Could they match the same intensity going into this season? But boy, have they, man. Really impressed with Newcastle today. I thought it was a fantastic performance. And Eddie Howe's done a really good job. But as we said earlier in the live stream, right? The next games, they got... Let me actually check out Newcastle's fixtures. Man City, I know they've got next week because it's on TNT Sports. Let's see. Liverpool the week after, apparently. So, yes. So Newcastle... Wow. Newcastle's next fixtures are Man City away, Liverpool at home, Brighton away. Those are 3 really tough games to come. So the opening, and then they've got Brentford at home. So the opening 5 games for Newcastle is not easy. Those are 5 teams I expect to finish in the top half of the table. But look, the Premier League it's an acid test for some. If Newcastle can ride out those first 5 games, getting 10 points at least, they got very much fancy their chances of having another fantastic season. Look, going to Man City next week, it's never easy. And even the draw is a good result there. But this is good confidence to take into that game. Man City won yesterday, of course, as well. But the thing with Man City is, right, they looked a little bit vulnerable at times yesterday. I'm not going to go, okay, vulnerable is maybe a bit harsh, but they definitely didn't look at their scintillating best. Haaland had a fantastic game and he was clinical, but he made that look like a routine victory. Burnley had chances last game. Yesterday, Burnley had really good chances in that game. They were nicking the ball off Man City early in the match and creating chances from it. If they give the chances that they gave to Burnley to Newcastle, who knows what could happen in that game? So Newcastle definitely got a chance next week. Remember last season at St. James Park? Obviously, that was a home game for Newcastle, but that was a fantastic game early in the season. Finished 3-3, won the games of the season. I'm hoping for something similar next week. I will be reviewing the game on this channel. So Man City fans, Newcastle fans, make sure you stay tuned for that one. And football fans in general, of course, make sure you stay tuned, hit notifications so you don't miss that video because I can't wait for that one. And look, I think that's going to be another fantastic game as well, in my opinion, because if I look at it from that sense, right, Man City, a really good team. Liverpool as well, you're playing them at home. Obviously, you want to exert some revenge. Liverpool won the only teams to beat you at St. James's Park last season alongside Arsenal, for example. So if you're Newcastle United, you can really lay down a mark of your opening 5 games of the Premier League season. It's a tough 5 games, but also that's the acid test, that's the litmus test. And that will be the benchmark to see where's this Newcastle team really at. Are they really going to be able to challenge for top 4 again? Are they going to kick on and maybe challenge for the league? Who knows? Or are they going to sink back into their shell and have a okay season, but not hit the heights of last year? That's what we're yet to find out. So a lot of tough games come from Newcastle United, but I'm confident in their ability. I think they'll pop a fight for anyone. As I said earlier on, right, Newcastle, that type of team where no one wants to play them. No one whatsoever wants to play Newcastle, to be honest with you guys. In terms of Aston Villa, they've got Everton next week, of course. Then on Thursday, they've got the Europa League playoff for the Europa Conference League. Then they've got Burnley at home. Sorry, Burnley away. Then they've got, obviously, a second leg of the Europa Conference League. Then they've got Aston Villa. Then they've got Liverpool away. And then Crystal Palace at home. So a mixed bag of games. They should be Everton. Burnley will be tough, but it's a promoted team. They should do well there. Liverpool will always be a tough game, especially away from home. And then Crystal Palace, they should win that game, to be honest with you guys, at home. So let's see what comes of it. So for Aston Villa as well, definitely easy games in Newcastle, but they got to definitely pick themselves up. As I said earlier on, right, Newcastle lost 3-0 to Aston Villa last season. What they do, they bounce back and beat Tottenham Hotspur 6-1. It's not necessarily what you do in the game, in the loss. Losses happen in football. No team's going this season unbeaten. I'm confident saying that. It's how you bounce back that dignifies you. It's how you bounce back that shows what type of team you are. Do you turn a loss into a lesson and bounce back and win your next game? Or do you turn your loss into a loss of confidence and then it results you in dropping points in your next game? And suddenly it doesn't become 3 points drops. It becomes 5 points or 6 points drops. That's the real question. Whenever a team loses the game, I understand that. I respect that. It can happen. I always look at their next fixture. That is the time to bounce back. Never, ever lose consecutive games. That should be a motto in football. Pep Guardiola is perfect at this. Whenever Man City loses a football game, they go out firing in their next match. I rarely ever see Man City lose back-to-back games or drop points in general in back-to-back games. Whenever they lose or draw, next game they go for blood because they understand that you can't let losing or drawing be a habit in football. If you draw or lose, next game's a win. Whereas with Arsenal at times, it was draw to West Ham, draw to Liverpool, draw to West Ham, draw to Southampton. They made dropping points a habit, and that's what cost them in the Premier League last season. So if you're Aston Villa, it's a loss today, fine. You got a nice friendly fixture against Everton next week at home, bounce back. Obviously, Everton lost as well to Fulham today, so Everton will want to get revenge as well. But you're the team at home. For the first time in front of Villa Park, you should be getting a victory there. So find a way to bounce back, pick yourselves up from a tough game. But I think they've got more than enough quality in that squad to pull one back. That's for an absolute fact. There's a long way to finish this Premier League season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And we're only 1 game down for 38 games in this season. But yeah, definitely some really interesting opening games this season, for sure. Obviously, tomorrow I'll be double streaming after the Brentford versus Tottenham game, then straight after the Chelsea versus Liverpool game. Also, make sure you stay tuned and hit the bell notification button so you do not miss my streams tomorrow. If you're new and you appreciate this stream, make sure you subscribe down below on my road to 5,000 subscribers. Be interested to see Spurs tomorrow without Kane. He's on the bench for the German Cup game going on now. Yeah, I think I'm gonna tune in and watch a little bit of that Bayern Munich game against RB Leipzig. I'll be really interested to see Tottenham as well tomorrow. How do they compete? Obviously, Son's become their club captain. Are Tottenham still a club that can compete with Harry Kane? I've heard rumours that pundits saying they're going to finish in the bottom half of the table. It's a bit harsh, but who knows? I think they're better side than bottom half of the table, but there's no doubt that Harry Kane was carrying that team. But at the same time, don't forget, right, that it's never as bad as you think in football and in life. In life and in football, it's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. It's always somewhere in the middle. Obviously, people saw last season would have thought Harry Kane would carry them. Harry Kane was the reason Tottenham even came close anywhere near Europe last season. But so they're thinking next season, without Harry Kane, it's a massive fall off. It's inevitable they're going to have a horrible season. But I think the opposite. I don't think Tottenham are going to have a good season, but I don't think that losing Harry Kane is going to make them fall off a cliff and suddenly be in the bottom half of the table. They're still a solid team there. Other players will just pick up the pace, and they won't be the same team, and they won't be as good a team with Harry Kane. That's for an absolute fact. But they'll be a different team, and they'll be a more balanced team. And I think in the long term, it will help them because they were hanging on to Harry Kane, and it was stopping them having a full rebuild. Tottenham needs a full rebuild here. And let's see if Andre can be the man to do that. So yeah, I agree with you, Jeff. I can't wait for the game tomorrow between Brentford and Tottenham. I can't wait for football tomorrow in general. I'm so delighted to see the Premier League season back. And of course, I'll be streaming more than ever on this channel. I'll be wonderful. I appreciate you guys all for tuning. I appreciate your input throughout on the live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope to catch most of you tomorrow for the streams, starting with Brentford Tottenham, due to start at 4 p.m. when the game finishes. And then after, we've got the game between Chelsea and Liverpool. I hope to see you all in my next stream. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Become a member using the first link in the description if you want exclusive videos. And I hope to catch you all in my next one. Take care.